Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and we are going to look at something unique today. We're going to take a look at Supremacy at Sea. That is one of the games that, if you look at the expert forums, is very consistently ranked as one of the best operational level war games, naval war games of all time. It's an excellent game. It has huge depth of simulation. It is really interesting. The only issue is it's pretty old, as you can probably tell by the graphics. They're not going to be that much nicer as we go into the game, but it is super interesting in terms of what it does mechanically. Now, a few words on the games here. This is from 2007, so you can actually only get it via CD from NWS Wargaming forums or stores or whatever. You can't actually get a digital download. It takes some tinkering to get it running, but if you do get it running, that's fantastic. So we're going to take all the steps here to ensure that you can play the game, and there's a lot of fun to be had in that, I think. Now, I did actually create the campaign before that because the game, for whatever reason, is going to throw you out whenever you do play that. And we're going to play this over here. We're going to play that as Germany, and that is UK versus Germany in the Atlantic Theatre game. Let's jump right into that. I think we can restart from the beginning here. That's fine. We haven't really started that yet, so that is brilliant. So here we go then. This is the main map of the game. This is it. It's as beautiful as this. It does get a little bit better, but not that much actually. So here's what we need to do, right? So we've got the map over here. This is the Atlantic map. You can zoom in here and sort of pan around, and you can see our harbors. This is 1939, but we already kind of control all of the blue ports here. The Allied ports are the yellow ones, so that should be okay too. And yeah, and every time you go back, you hit that little square up then in the top. Right, and we do have a lot of briefings, and that, oh, this is very well. This is sort of okay. Right, so we are actually lucky because we have a breakthrough here in one of our technologies. That is lovely, but it's maybe not the most important technology here. The anti-submarine warfare capabilities of ourselves are increasing over here. Other than that, this is really the main thing over here, and this is really just one very long document. But it does give you a very excellent and detailed overview. So we're going to be playing, of course, against the British. The long-term strategic situation is estimated to be about evenly balanced. We are slightly behind in resources, but not that much. So that is going to be okay. We've got some 4,500 economic points. That's very lovely. That is immediately available because we're in turn 1, and we could build a navy of almost, or a little bit more than 400,000 tons. We might not just want to spend that on the navy. We might want to take some other expenditures as well, but that of course is a certain thing here that we have. There are no ship losses or anything like for now, so that I think is going to be alright. And what might be interesting is the technological capabilities. So the blue ones is us, the red ones or orange one is the British. So we're slightly ahead in fire control, slightly ahead in ballistics, that's lovely. Slightly behind in radar, of course, somewhat behind in armor. Torpedoes, we have a lot of problems, and that is, of course, the historical problems that the Germans were facing with their torpedoes running too low and their detonators not being quite okay. Our sub-propulsion, although, and surface propulsion is kind of fine. Anti-submarine warfare seems to be better than it was before, but still okay. Sub-tactics are good, and that is that. Intelligence capabilities, we're almost on par, and I think everything else we can ignore for now. The most important thing is going to be this over here. Kiel and Saint-Nazaire are our main bases, and this is where we are going to get some income here. So as you could see before, we got at the moment some 4,500 resource points. Now these are distributed in our various different ports. You can see in Kiel there are almost 3,000, 400 in Saint-Nazaire, and then all of the smaller bases only have sort of minuscule amounts. And that is important because this is used for everything. This is used for shipbuilding, this is used for infrastructure repairs, but this is also used for refueling, for rearming, and for repairing ships. So I like that system because it keeps you incentivized to keep these flowing around. Maybe you want to have Saint-Nazaire to do some repairs as, let's say, submarines coming in from the Atlantic need refueling and rearming, and that's going to be nice. Whereas in Kiel, we're mostly going to build new ships, and so that's at least a thing to be considering here. Right, let's return to the Admiral's office here, and let's think about building things. So I want to start by building out our ships, and there are a lot of interesting things here, because every time you're going to hit any decision in the game, you can just hit yes and have your Admiral sort of do that. So if we were to hit yes here, Mr. Donitz would take it on himself to actually build us a couple of ships. We are not going to do that, and we're going to hit no over here, and we're going to design our own ships. But I do like that it would be possible to do that. Now, here's the thing. This is what the game is telling us that we could do. We could build the Bismarck class. That's a battleship, and it does have certain characteristics. It's size 2. It has a number of guns labeled as 2. That's a category, though. You can see over here, it actually has 8, what I'm guessing is 15-inch guns. And if we were to dial that up, we could potentially get more guns. Yeah, 9 15-inch guns, 10 or 12. Or we could pick a higher caliber here, 16-inch guns, up to 16L47, whatever that means. Probably calibers also. We also have a secondary armament. We've got an armor scheme. We've got a strength. So basically just how internally strong these guys are. You can see the hit points up over here. And we, of course, have the speed and the range. Now, all of these things are sort of interdependent, and we're going to design a completely new ship over here. But our basic strategy is going to be multi-layered. We're going to use submarines. We're going to use light cruisers to scout for the submarines. We're going to use heavy cruisers to hopefully sink any enemy anti-submarine warfare patrols that they might have. And we are hoping to cut off the UK that way. Nevertheless, I want a couple of battleships just to make sure that sort of as our light cruisers and heavy cruisers are protecting our submarines, our heavy cruisers are being protected from their battleship by better battleships on our side. So I would like a faster battleship here which has at least 30 knots of speed. I think that's fine. We do need to be somewhat concerned here about the tonnage though, because this is effectively the cost. Right now we can build 300,000 tons or so. That's slightly less than we've seen before, because this corresponds to the resources that are currently in Kiel. Now that is a tall order. Now building 2 of these battleships here would already pretty much use all of our tonnage, and I think that would be a little bit too much. Now, the original Bismarck design here has a little bit less. I think we could dial down on the range. I think a range of, you can see 3 numbers here, that is at different speeds. I'm mostly looking at the middle one, because running at 24 knots, that is going to use a lot of fuel. I want to be able to run at 16 knots for about 8,000 kilometers, sorry, miles. So we can probably dial this down here to a range 2 or so. You can see that it does save us some tonnage here, which I think I like a lot. I do like 30 knots speed. We don't need that much more. I do like the strength here that this offers. We could potentially go up a little bit on the armor scheme. Oh, that's already 3,000 tons. Oh, that's massive. That is massive indeed, and it does bring down... You know what? We're going to leave armor at 3 here. What I do want though is slightly more guns here in that usage. Can we use 16-inch guns? You know what? I think this is fine. We're going to call this class the standard battleship. Or you know what? Let's call it the H class, because just no, there's an H class there. Never mind. We're going to call it the standard BB, and we're going to get a name for that, which is going to be, you know, Friedrich Grosser. That's fine. I like that idea, and we're going to build it. Now it should appear down here, and we're going to build another one, which we're going to call Grosser Kurfürst, and we're going to build one of these. And that should mean that basically we've spent a third or so of our tonnage on these 2 big battleships. Nevertheless, I like the idea. Let's see how they are going to perform. Now, we need some escort ships to go along with these guys. Now, what I would like then is we're going to again design this ourselves. Now, we would tend to start with a minimal size over here, but the issue is that range would not really match the range on these battleships. Now, we want about 8,000 miles here, right? So let's dial up the speed until we get to roughly at least that point. Okay, size 4 is fine. That is already a very large destroyer, but I think it's going to be alright. I think it can be slightly slower though. How about 3 and then... No, I think it needs to be size 4, and then we can go with 30 knots. I think 30 knots is okay-ish. Come on, sometimes it just doesn't eat the argument here. And we can potentially do a little bit less armor. Come on game, don't hang up on me. Okay, sometimes it does that. My apologies here. Right, come on. Just note. Okay. Have you gotten back, game? Right. We want an escort, size 4, range 5. 8,000. It can be slightly slower. 33 knots are super fine. Strength, that's okay. We can dial down, I think, on the armor, but it doesn't really save that much in terms of weight here. So we are actually going to use... I think the best armor available. Secondaries are fine. Gun caliber, we can use potentially a little bit more. 5-inch guns. These are relatively large destroyers, but we do need something that can really venture out into the Atlantic with our battleship. So honestly, I think this is fine. The next question though that we do face is, how should we build these guys out? Should they be general purpose? Should they be torpedo focused? Should they be anti-submarine warfare duty, mines, or ag-ag? Now, I think general purpose is fine. Flak might be, or anti-aircraft might be useful, but I think it's going to be okay. So let's simply use the name DD Large here. Very interesting name. Oh, it doesn't have any notification for that, so we're just going to give that hull numbers like such. I don't think we want to name all of these guys. And let's build a couple of these guys here, right? So let's build, sorry, that's supposed to be the number 2. And we're going to use the number 3. Let's build about 4 of these guys or so. Maybe 5. 6? Okay, 6. I think 6 is a good number. That's 3 destroyers for every battleship here, which I think is all in all quite a good number. Right, other than that, let's build up some cruisers here. We've got the Prince Eugen design, oh sorry, Prince Eugen. I remember I once called that Eugene, and that was not well received. Right, so I think 33 knots is fine. That range is potentially a little bit on the high side. Let's actually dial that down. Strength is fine. Let's give you a little bit more armor though. I'm slightly concerned there. That's 1,000 tons. No, that's 800 tons. Still, I think it's a good idea to just keep a lot on there. You know what? What if we make you slightly smaller? Yeah, I think we're going to make you slightly smaller. And then you're going to be mostly really built. How about even smaller? Fast, medium, light cruiser. Okay, this is a light cruiser. This is also considered a light cruiser. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's build at size 4. That does give us 8-inch guns. We could go slightly up here. Doesn't seem to do anything in terms of the actual caliber here. 8-inch guns. I think that's a nice design. So let's use it. Again, the range can go down a little bit at least. Speed is fine. Strength is... How much does that change? 400 tons. Yeah, let's go down slightly. 4 I think is fine. And we're going to call these guys, of course, the class. We're just going to give it a simple name here. The Heavy Cruiser. Essen? Can we get a better name for that? What's a good Heavy Cruiser name? I think Moltke is a good name. And then let's get another one. Ludendorff. Yeah, I think that's good. These guys are going to be our primary scouting force, and then we're going to build some light cruisers too. Let's get the design here off the game. That's a little bit fast. I think this is slightly better. 7,000, that's not great. Secondaries should be a little bit more too. I primarily want these guys here to be primarily disposable, semi-disposable. You know what? What happens if we just use the smallest sort of ship that we can over here, and then we're going to build it up from there. Come on, Essen. Come on, get the range down. Right, okay, that's obviously not going to be nearly enough. I think 8,000 miles is a good... I mean, that does allow crossing of the Atlantic, so more or less that should be fine. Speed, I think 33 knots or so should be much better too. Yeah, that's okay-ish actually. 5,000 tons. That's almost just twice as large as these destroyers. If we give you a lot more secondaries, what is your tonnage going to be? Well, apparently it doesn't change that much, does it? Okay, fine then. 5-inch guns? 7. 7 is a weird number. Let's go for 8. 5.5. 6-inch guns maybe? I think 6-inch guns are fine. And then give you some armor here and some strength. It is of course a little bit scope creeping, but I think it's going to be alright. This does seem like a good ship. Let's build a couple of these guys. Hanover, Essen is fine. Bremen. So these are all going to be called off to cities. Frankfurt, there we go. Stuttgart. How many have we got now? 5. Let's go for 6. 7, 8. I think that's okay. 8 ships. 8 ships, that's a good number. That is going to give us good scouting opportunities, I think. Right, we should potentially build a merchantman. At least a small one. Doesn't even need a name. And that's okay. And then let's look at submarines here. So we've got the Type 7C and the Type 9, which is lovely. Now the Type 9 is a little bit larger, but it does seem to have a much better range, which is okay. Can we go slightly lower on the range here, I wonder? We should potentially pick a couple of more torpedoes here, right? How many have you got? 5 torpedoes. Well, we can go for 6. 420 tons. Not sure I like that idea. Don't actually think we need the gun here. So that's alright. Strength, well... You know what, let's keep them disposable. Underwater speed, 8 knots, 6 knots. I think 8 knots is better. 16 knots over water speed I think is okay too though. What if we keep them really, really disposable? 4 torpedo tubes, no guns. Pretty much a coastal design here. Yeah, I like that idea. That's a super cheap design. Let's call that the number 2. Oh, you don't really give us a name, do you? The -1. What a glorious name. You know what? Let's scrap this one. Yeah, it's going to give us 100%. That's okay. And then... Whoop, sorry about that. Let's get this going. And let's just build a couple of these guys, I think about 6 or so. Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's see how many that actually is. Yeah, that is actually 6. Nope, no. Game keeps on going. 8, 9. I think 12 would be fine. Then we could sort of set them up in a group of 3 or 4 ships. Okay, there we go. That should be number 12. Yeah, that's fine. That's not all we should do. I think we should do a Type 9-like design. So sort of a more meaningful long-range ship. that can go a lot further, a lot faster, is a lot stronger. I don't think you need the gun really, but I do think you need the torpedoes. That's a very significant increase there. Okay, you know what? That's fine. Let's call these here the Type 11 because just I like the name. And then build a couple of these guys too. I think maybe around 8. That should be fine. Notice just these guys are 5 times more expensive than the smaller class that we did build earlier. And I'm not sure that they are really 5 times as useful. But I think it is going to be useful to have them around at least. Shall we build more of the smaller ones? I think we should. They are really dirt cheap. So let's just try to float the waters there with these guys, right? Let's build up to 20 or so. And then we shouldn't completely use all of our tonnage to build stuff. I think we could potentially build some more light cruisers. But we also need to... well... let's grab that one. Okay. That's fine. 20 of the lighter designs. That's super cool. Okay, let's build yet another design. And that is going to be a mine layer. So... it's going to be small. It's going to be doing very little else than being around and being able to lay some mines. That's an interesting range. Okay, now at least you have some range here. But only at 12. That's a very small design. Okay, now you're calculating that properly. Well, let's say 3,000. I think that's okay. Doesn't need to be too fancy. I don't think we want it to be armed at all, but we do want it to have a mine laying specification down there. So, of course, these guys really don't need fancy names, so we're just going to build 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. There we go. Notice that they are barely larger than the coastal submarines that we've built earlier. Right, that should give us... Moltke. Yeah, we've got Moltke, we've got Ludendorff. It's all a little bit mixed up here though. That's fine. And then we can build a couple of more you guys, right? DD7. DD8, DD9, and DD10, and that should be it. I don't think I want to build any more than that. That's fine. That's it for the ships. We can and should be building aircraft. That is, however, done sort of on its own, so that's fine. We don't need to be too concerned about that. We can build infrastructure, and there are some things to be considered around that. Now, what I'll probably need to do is pretty much get all of these things down to nil, because currently everything is sort of to be built. I don't think we really want that. I think we want potentially at Brest a larger airfield. Brest is sort of on the tip of France vis-a-vis the UK, so I think there a big air base would be fine. And I think the same is really true at Stavanger. But other than that, we don't really want to do too much there. Now, in terms of technology, some things that I want to prioritize is our torpedoes as a primary thing, and then secondary our radar installations. I think would be good areas to catch up, because really our torpedoes are so crappy, and so is our radar. So that should be fine. Let's invest a couple of 100 points into that. I think like 300, not 3,000 points should be okay for that. And then I do think we need to get up in terms of training. So I do want to spend around 300 points on that too, I think. You know what? Let's maybe spend 10 points here on infrastructure. Excuse me. That is that. That is really all that we need to build. Let's go and deploy some things so that we can actually get going here. What we can do is we could automate all of that and have our guys do that for us. Now, that's not really what I want to do here. What I want to do is I want to do that manually. So we're going to get at the home fleet reserve here, and we're going to do a couple of things. And that is we're going to first build a new fleet, which we're going to call Task Force 1. That is going to be, of course, our class here with our 2 battleships and quite a couple of destroyers, I would think. So you guys are all the DDs, right? Yeah, I just misnamed a couple of you guys. That's okay, we don't need to be too concerned about that. And let's just give you here some good escorts. I think that's fine. Yeah, so like 6 ships, 5 ships, 6 destroyers, 4 2 battleships. I think that's a decent heavy hitting group. And then we're gonna get the scout force, or the heavy scouts, which we're gonna use like that. That is gonna be the heavy cruisers and a couple of light cruisers. So maybe 4 of these guys, 4 light cruisers. Yeah. Then we're gonna get the scout force number 2, just the light scouts if you wish, and that's gonna be the Frankfurt and the Hamburg, and the light scouts number 2, the Hanover and Stuttgart. So you're gonna be all steaming about. We could of course give a couple of these light cruisers to our battleship fleet. Might not be the worst idea. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. And then we're gonna have the mine layers with a very dedicated name here. That's going to be all of these guys. Just move them over like that. That's fine. And you know what? We should potentially give our heavy scouts here some destroyer cover as well. So let's move you guys over there as well. That's great. Okay. And then we're going to get the sub fleet, which we're just going to call SU. No, let's give them Subfleet Coastal number 1, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make that 6 ships, right? I don't want to micromanage all of them. Do you register that? Nope. There we go. Okay, and then let's get the Coastal Fleet number 2. It's going to be, how many did I use? I think 6, right? Then we're going to have 2 in reserve, which is fine too. Right, and then lastly, we're going to get the long-range scout subfleets, and we have how many of these guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. Sorry, just 8. Okay, so we're going to grab 4 of you guys, and then we're going to get SL2. We're just going to have the other 4. Okay, that's fine. That's it. That's all you need to do in terms of the fleet setup. Now, of course, we do want to give them some orders here. So let's start out with the mine layers. Let's actually zoom in a little bit here to Europe. And then you actually need to hit this little drag button here to actually give them some orders. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our mine layers, and I want to have a defensive minefield so that they can't at least easily attack our home port here at Kiel. So I think at least these 2 bases here should be mined. So what I want to do then is send these guys up over here. And you can see how they're moving about there. So they're going to spend 2 turns here, 3, 4, 5 hexes. That's their movement. One of them is, I guess, to get out of port. And you can also see just how many hours it will take them. 50 hours or so to get there. 60 hours to get out of that hex. And you can even see when these guys would be coming out of there. And what speed they are running at. These guys can only run at a speed of 8, so that's fine. We're going to leave them there. We're going to ask them to lay mines up over here. Hopefully you've registered that, and then you can actually return. And don't give me the speed, give me the numbers. Right. And then you are gonna dock here, I think, automatically. So let's send them up over here, lay mines, and then return. That's a pretty simple task here. Now, our heavy scouts, what I would like to do with you guys is I would want to keep our heavy groups a little bit here to the rear. What I would like to do, though, is get our light submarines, our coastal submarines. They're going to get to Saint-Nazaire down there. They're going to dock there. That's going to be fine. And then they're going to have some fuel left so that then we can send them out and sort of patrol these areas here around the British Isles. So I'm going to send them right back up over here. Let's undo the last order there. Have them about over here. And then what we can do is we can ask them to spend more hexes in, more time here in this vicinity. Now, how long will they be able to stay over here? You can see they've got a cruising range of 96 hexes at their current speed of... Where do you only have a speed of 8? Don't know. Anyway, they're going to cruise up over here. They're going to be fine doing that. The coastal group 2 is going to be sort of doing the same thing, except you're going to be, you know what, let's cancel all of these orders. Let's get you over here, and then you're going to sort of cruise around here in the channel. You're going to do a couple of turns here, then you're going to get back to Saint-Nazaire. Scouting group 3, you can actually take a peek here at Scalper Flow at the British home base and make sure that they're not going to surprise us in any way whatsoever up over here. And then I'm guessing you can get back to Stavanger. Right, that should be cool too. Scouting Force 1, again, you're going to make your way down here. And then I would like to send you towards the approaches here to the British Isles. Scout out whether we can find any Brits. Let's see about that. Let's actually... Oh, we need to undo all of that. So, at least for this group, come on. Right, let's send you over here, and the mistake I made is these guys are running at a speed of 24 knots. That's fine for making the dash through the channel here, but I would really like you to be a little bit more relaxed over here. And if we go back to the speed setting, you should be able to see speed setting that they're running in fast over here, and then they're going to be a little bit more casually bumping around over there. And if we can see just how long it will take you to do that, it's around 280 hours or so. That's fine. Scouting group 2, we're going to do something similar over here. We're going to grab you. We can actually be probably a little bit slower even, and then make your way a little bit here to the mid-Atlantic also. Whoop, I need to unclick the drag here and need to undo these last orders. Because if you can see over here, that has reverted back to 24 knots in speed, and that is just not going to cut it in terms of our endurance. So yeah, there's that. Right, we're going to leave them over here. If they are going to make it all the way over there, that's going to be fine. Speaking of all the way over there, let's get our long-range submarines. You've got a fantastic range here, 142 knots. At any decent speed. So let us grab you and bring us off to the coast of America to actually check on whether there are any enemies. And by the way, notice that we are avoiding some of the heftiest anti submarine warfare patrols that they're probably going to put up with the with their air cover there. So that's lovely at least. Right, let's bring you down here. Have your patrol off in the sort of South Atlantic almost even. And that's going to be fine. Right, numbers of hexes, yeah, you're well within your range there. That's almost only taking half of your fuel, and you can go back to Saint-Nazaire to actually drop you off there. Task Force 1, we're going to actually keep you in reserve for the moment, although we can potentially keep you in this little harbour here. So let's actually try to dock you there. And that, I think, well, we've got the heavy scouts. Let's keep them for now. I think that is going to be fine. And we're going to go ahead here and actually do the first turn, because I think longer, you guys probably, if you've come this far, will not mind so much that we've got this. Right, so let's end the turn here. The British are going to do their thing, and then our ships are going to sail forward. And you're going to see the actual resolution of the game in just a moment over here. So we've got the calculator here. We've got all of our ships finishing off. That's lovely. We can scroll through all of these. That's fine. But what happens then is we've got this screen over here, which is a fantastic screen, isn't it? And you can see there are certain weather patterns over Scandinavia, sort of over the Faroe Islands, Orkney Islands, I want to say. I don't know what that is. And you can see our ships. We could get rid of the icons and we would just see the reserve fleets and all of the fleets that currently are over here. We don't know too much about the enemy. We have an idea that there is an enemy task force here with a battleship, an aircraft carrier, 3 cruisers and 28 escorts. We don't know much about that though, other than that it just might be there, and in some of these places we absolutely have no reconnaissance whatsoever. What we're going to do then is we're going to hit the next thing over here, and you can see that advances this to turn 3, turn 4 and so on, and we're just going to quietly click through this. Now what we also can do is we could also just let the game run. But I've set this up in a way that we are interacting with that. Otherwise, our fleets would just be doing sort of their own thing. And I've actually noticed that I've forgotten one tiny thing, but that's not too bad. By the way, you can see mine layers have done their duty and put up some mines over there. That's lovely to see. We're not really seeing any enemy activity yet, except in the harbour. And we can see there are a couple of fleets here, a couple of submarine fleets. That task force number 1. They've got a lot of aircraft carriers, I give them that. They've got at least 3 aircraft carriers. Right, that being said, I don't see too much maneuver there. I don't see them coming out of port and ready to play. They might be coming out. We don't have perfect vision, of course, but it is at least interesting to see that. By the way, let's check out whether we have any other enemy notifications there. By the way, you can see the mine layers have come back, and they have laid some mines over there, but other than that we are not seeing really much. Come on, come on, I want to show at least a little bit of the game here. Not sure why these guys are sometimes blinking. As far as we know, there's nothing in these harbours. Okay, minelayers have actually laid a secondary minefield over here. That is lovely. Our coastal patrols are doing fine over there. We haven't spotted any convoy or anything down here. Neither with the scouting forces nor with our long-range submarines, and our coastal forces here are fine too. We are about 27% into the turn here. Every turn is 1 month. But you can see it basically actually dials this down to the hour. And at this point, we are seeing a lot less there in Task Force 1 on their side. Which means that either the rest is in the home fleet and they have docked, they have basically berthed, or they have actually sailed. Now we don't know what it is, so let's actually grab the heavy scouts here. And what I want to do is I want to send you a little bit out here to play. Let's have a look at whether we can find the enemy. Let's do a quick scoop around. You're going to run at fairly high speeds there. Yeah, they are now coming out. By the way, notice the minelayers have, I think, done a good job there. We don't know how many mines these are really, but yeah, scouts haven't really found anything in the North Sea. Now, there was something that I didn't notice for now. I think you guys here have basically refueled. Yeah, so you're fine for now, but let's get you back into the fray. I think I would like you to keep patrolling around Scapa Flow. Just try to keep an eye on their fleet. Let me know when they're doing anything worthwhile there. Right, here we go. Here we go. This is it. This is what we're talking about. Enemy Task Force 1 has set sail. It has 1 battleship, 1 aircraft carrier, 3 cruisers, 28 escorts, pretty much as we've seen before. The age of this is 1 hour. The reliability is acceptable. So it really could mean anything. It is streaming at 12 knots. Now, what have they got? Super very large cruiser class. And 1 small battleship. I am going to risk it because I do want to see how this turns out. So let's actually zoom in a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is we are going to grab, not the heavy scouts. No, we can grab the heavy scouts. And we can give it a response. And that response is going to be to shadow Task Force 1. Now, the game sometimes really doesn't like that, but now it does. So that's fine. Then we're going to ask Task Force 1 over here to... We're first going to give you some other rules of engagement. You can do bold attacks here. And I would like to have you be aggressive. The other one can be cautious. That's fine. You guys are a lot more aggressive over here. That's principally fine because you would cover then the withdrawal of the battleships, which is fine too. And what I want you to do is to intercept these guys. And you actually did that. That's fine. So what we should now see is these guys steaming out, trying to find the enemy task force there. Now, that might or might not work out. These guys are pretty far away, after all. And this is already 9 hours late. By the way, we can also try to attack you here with our coastal submarines. I wouldn't mind that too much, actually. So let's try to intercept them. Sometimes it really just doesn't like to do what I want it to do. Oh, come on now. Okay, now you're doing it. Fine. Only took you 3 orders. Right, Task Force 1. We don't know that much. 13 hours here. They might be anywhere. We might have missed them. They might be coming in to Kiel to try to bomb us or something. Oh, no. Something has happened here. Something has happened here, and we're going to see what that is afterwards. But there has been a battle, that is for sure. So let's see what is going on. The EF means these guys are retreating now. They don't have a chance. That's fine. They probably have some damage here. So what I would like to do then is, I don't know how much you have suffered yet, but if we could intercept you, that would be fine. And our rules of engagement for you are also going to be a bold attack. Aggressive. Let's have you be cautious. Yeah, and the rest is fine. Good. Let's try to intercept them. Maybe they are damaged. Maybe we can do something with that. Notice our submarines are also going to try to close in. Heavy scouts are now over there. And the emergency fleet there is trying to withdraw. 50% here. Maybe we have already gotten a good fight out of them. We don't know. What's SF2? That's an enemy fleet. An enemy submarine fleet, nonetheless. I haven't seen too many of those, and we don't have any good anti-submarine warfare capabilities. So that is slightly concerning. That being said, our force here has withdrawn. And our scouts are... What are you guys doing? You haven't suffered any damage. You're a little bit low on fuel on the cruisers. I would like you to intercept Task Force 1. I would like the Heavy Scouts to intercept Task Force 1. The Heavy Scouts, Task Force 1, intercept. Yes, there we go. Yeah, you're driving through the enemy submarines again, though. Which certainly is not ideal. Okay, EF should be docking in Kiel soon. You guys are pretty much down here just waiting on stuff. You haven't really found anything. More or less that is okay. We don't need to enter undue risks there. But let's see. Okay, heavy scouts are now withdrawing. That's fine. Your fuel situation is okay too. We basically only build you to run through the Atlantic or do some of these high-speed sorties. So that's fine, I think. This report here is incredibly old, so let's ignore that for now. I am going to try to find other stuff over here. What's your route? Your route is going to take you back over there. That's fine. Let's also bring you all the way into Saint-Nazaire. You guys have quite a bit of fuel left. You guys have quite a bit of fuel left. Nevertheless, let's try to bring you home. I think they were still on very high speed there. SC3, you've done something. I think you've refueled. Yeah, let's send you out again. I would like you to be patrolling. Again, just be around, Scapa. And then we're gonna see, we're at 73% of the turn. I think pretty much everyone has withdrawn to their respective bases, which is sort of what you typically do expect to see. So I'm guessing we're gonna see this go a little bit fast over here. There were a couple of things that were immediately fast. And we're gonna have a look at the after action report here in briefing. So we're gonna go to this over here, and we're gonna see that there's one surface battle and one enemy airstrike. And pretty much no other battles over here. So let's look at the action report for the surface battle. And things did not, well, hard to say really. So this is the damage report here. This is on the left side, this is our side, this is the enemy. There is a slight differentiation here. So you can see the superstructure damage, and you can see we are really wrecked in terms of our superstructure. Our superstructure did not take this battle very well on any ship. So pretty much this is completely wrecked on the superstructure. This, however, is the hull damage, and that is what is actually keeping you afloat. So you can see, yes, some of these guys were really badly wrecked, and the repair costs here are going to be very substantial due to that. But these guys did not go down, except for DD4, which was actually sunk. You can actually see it has flooding here of 40% and basically no hull integrity. Her speed loss is pretty darn high, and yeah, everything else too. Now on the enemy, notice that these things are slightly different. This is only in terms of a third, so we don't have as granular information about these guys, but we can of course say that Akostata has sunk, Aster has sunk, Black Swan has sunk. So in terms of ships sunk, this is definitely an advantage for us already. Let's click down here to see what happened to the other ships. Largely wrecked. Flamingo sunk. Black Swan, we had her. Significant damage on some of these ships. And extensive damage on Renown. Renown is pretty much the only battleship that we did see. And we can replay the battle over here. This is not the most fancy thing that you can see, but it is interesting. So we've got Friedrich de Grosser. You can see she's trying to maintain. Grosser course first two. These guys are all trying to maintain. If we go to the next hour here, they are making some things. And if we're going ahead here, you can see this play out hit by hit. You can see basically their carrier's going to try to run away, which is no big surprise there. And there's the first hit. DD2 is being hit by a secondary hit from Dido at a range of 22,000 yards. A little bit of damage, really nothing to write home about. On the other hand, Renown is hitting Grosser Kurfürst with a main gun shell, and that already does 30 damage, so that is a bit more significant. I'm not going to play through all of this because this is going to take a long time. But you can already see here, Friedrich de Grosser also taking hits from Renown. Renown is a pretty darn strong ship, 79. She's pretty accurate too, which is interesting. So yeah, again, not going to play through all of that, so that's fine. And then we did have an enemy airstrike, and let's see the report there. So that came in on our heavy scouts. There is quite a bit of damage here, this, there, and there. So what's going on here? They're sending in 60 Fulmer 1s, 15 attacking the Ludendorff, 15 the Moltke. Some are being downed by AA. So it's a good thing that we plaster these guys with secondaries. A couple of near misses which do damage. 7 bomb hits, some near misses. But these guys are relatively well armored. So yeah, there's going to be some repair costs, but not that much. So yeah, all in all, that's fine. Right. And then, well, we can look through all of these things, but I do think the interesting bit is the economy over here. So Kiel has produced 280 resource points. Some are getting automatically ferritin. Most of these were actually used for refueling and repairs, which is not a big surprise, but something that we do need to be mindful about. Some refueling here in Saint-Nazaire, some in Brest. I did misclick there probably or something like that. Hamburg. But all in all, that seems fine. So that being said, this is a 51-minute thing, so probably I'm going to break it out. But yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Do let me know your thoughts about this game here. And yeah, I hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye.